What is up, guys, and welcome into another episode of the Ain't It Funky podcast. My guest today is Uwe Breunig. Uwe is a prolific German drummer whose credits include Mel C, Bushido, Gentleman, Kontra, and he is currently the touring drummer for German popstar Leony. In our conversation, we spoke about Udo's upbringing, his time studying jazz in Würzburg, how he managed to get into the Berlin scene and how he networked his way to being a successful recording and touring drummer, being the musical director for Leony, and more. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe wherever you're listening. The video version is available on YouTube as well. Thanks for tuning in, and enjoy. All right, Uwe Breunig, welcome into the podcast.
Yes, thanks for having me.
Uwe, thank you so much for being here. So, Uwe, I know that you started playing drums when you were 6 years old. Is that right?
Yeah, that's totally right. 6 years. And then it started getting intense when I was like maybe 12 or 13. So until then, it was just fun. I mean, it's still fun, but I didn't really practice. But I had a good teacher who just kept me on going.
Yeah, and so what kind of changed? Was it the teacher who kind of gave you more material that made you take it more seriously, or what was what changed in the approach?
No, actually, it was like when I was 6 years old, we didn't listen to so much music. Yeah, when I maybe was around 11 or 12, I started listening to music and like Tote Hosen and Ärzte, German groups that my brother liked. And then I started to realize that I actually can imagine how the drummer plays the drums. And then I wanted to check it out. So, and we had my brother is a guitar player, so we started our first group.
Nice.
So
amazing. So that was around the time that you were like 12, 13, you guys started a band.
Yeah, maybe earlier, maybe like 11, 12, something like that. Yeah. So he went to the next level in school, so the Gymnasium, German Gymnasium, and he had a schoolmate who also played the guitar. So we met in the afternoon and started jamming on Metallica, Tote Hosen, whatever.
Amazing. But I know because you studied jazz in Würzburg, is that correct?
Yeah.
So was that, did you get more into jazz before that, or did you just kind of
no,
the jazz
not
world
really.
through that?
I was actually I was into. I mean, I'm a kid of the 90s. You know, like I was born in 79, so at the time, early 90s, I was totally into Nirvana and Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, stuff like that. Chili Peppers, of course. And then in the mid of the 90s, I also got in touch with Tower of Power, I think. And there was a German band called Jazz Canteen, the band of Dirk Oechinger.
Yeah.
And I loved Jazz Cantina. I was not so much into hip hop at the time, but I really loved the way he played the drums. So I still loved rock music, but I got in touch with funk, hip hop, acid jazz, stuff like that, Jamiroquai, The Roots. And then I got like started to check out different styles on the drums. And I finished school in 99, so I knew that I wanted to go be a professional musician. And my parents, they were like, okay, if you want to become a musician, you have to study. And at that time it was, I mean, the pop academy wasn't there. It was, you had the option between going classical or jazz. So I went to Freiburg to do my, how do you say, social service, Zivildienst, I don't know the English word. And there was a Jazz and Rock Schule. So I took a teacher there, Hiram Mutschler, great jazz drummer, really great jazz drummer. And started practicing jazz because I knew, okay, I don't want to do classical, I want to do jazz. But the decision was just random because I actually didn't know any jazz records. So when I decided to do it, and he said, okay, so you gotta like inform yourself about jazz music or get in touch with jazz music, I went to a record store and bought some random Miles Davis record,
Nice.
a record on which Tony Williams played. And I was like, okay, this is jazz. Fuck, I don't understand it. So, but I was like, okay, from now on, I go that path.
Okay.
So,
And then I guess you got into all the like jazz independent stuff with like treading the hi-hats on
yeah,
certain
yeah,
counts and
yeah. This was
comping
my
and
routine. So he was like, okay, so here you got syncopation, and this is a way you work with syncopation. And yeah, you really, this is the basics. You got to check them out. So I spent really lots of time. It was fun because I had a like um, there was this, I don't know how to say this. This is like a Wohnheim, a place where a lot of students live, and they
yeah.
had it was all just students for religion, Catholic religion, blah blah blah. So they had a music room in the basement, and I was like, I was the only one who didn't study, and I yeah was not so much into religion. So I like, first of all, I took a practice pad and set it up in the basement and started practicing. Then I was like, oh fuck, I gotta get a bass drum and a hi-hat. So I added more drums, and in the end, it was my room. I set up my drums and I practiced like,
All right.
I don't know, 5 to 6 hours every day. And
Mm.
everybody was like, okay, like he wants to study, so let's give him the space. That was pretty fun. So
Amazing. Amazing.
yeah.
And so how was studying in Würzburg? How was the course?
Yeah. So when I decided to study, I mean, as these were times with no internet, so it was like pretty difficult to get the materials or impressions of the schools and stuff. So I was like, okay, where can I study? And I never been. I mean, I come from a small village in Bavaria, so I've never been in any big cities. Though this was for me the imagination to go somewhere and study. This was pretty far out, so I really had to like phone the schools, and I'm here, Uwe, and I want to study. And it was yeah, it was not that easy like it is nowadays. So I just decided to go for um, entrance test in Nuremberg, Würzburg, and Munich.
Mhm.
And I in Nuremberg I made it, but they didn't have a slot for me.
Mhm.
Then I was in Munich. I made that too, and in Würzburg. And in Munich there was Werner Schmidt at the time, a big band drummer who plays with Hugo Strasser big band, and in Würzburg there was Bill Elgart, like a US free jazz drummer
Mhm.
who was like really very nice from the very beginning. Like I came there, I talked to him, and we were just laughing. And I had a good time, and I really had the feeling, okay, this is a really nice guy. So, and he is like original from the US. I had the feeling that I want to study with someone who is more authentic in the style. Maybe I don't know if this was my thought. So
Yeah.
nothing against Werner Schmidt, of course, because I didn't know him. So and then when I started in Würzburg, it was like super traditional. There was not so much space for other styles than jazz, so I really had to take it serious. And I did. As long as I started studied the music, the more I got into it, and I really fell in love with the music and fell in love with the way to play. So but I was still a young kid, and Billy was absolutely into free jazz. So we listened to a lot of Ornette Coleman and really free music.
Mhm.
And yeah, so my passion is more groove oriented. So it was, I had the feeling that I had to get another teacher, who like helped me getting my stuff done while I was studying with Bill. So it was like two two ways, let's say it like this. And I mean, I started playing hip hop there as well, but I played big band. It was pretty cool, but I mean, the possibilities were limited. I tried to get the best out of it. So
All
let's say
right.
it like this. And I knew that as soon as the studies are finished, I want to move to another city and
All
dig
right.
into something else. So I went to Berlin then.
Nice. And what made you choose Berlin? What prompted the move?
Um, yeah, actually, I had a band there. So I
Oh,
was
okay.
when I was in Würzburg, I lived together with some hip hop guy who had a label deal with a Berlin record company, and we had a pretty nice rehearsal room in Würzburg. So they sent me, or they sent their artists to Würzburg to prepare some tour, and sometimes they dropped in our apartment or they came by and slept there. And I get in touch with some guys, and one guy was Melomark, a reggae singer who had a Echo in 2003. And
Okay.
when he got the Echo, I just wrote him SMS and said, "Hey, man, so congrats."
Yeah.
And he was like, "Hey, I got an audition for my band. You wanna try it?" So
Okay.
this was no, this was earlier. It was 2002. So I drove to Berlin with my drums and played the audition and got the gig. And
Nice.
then yeah, we were touring, and it all started in Berlin, or the part of the bands came from Berlin. So I knew as soon as I'm finished, I want to move to Berlin. So I went there in 2005.
Okay. Nice. And then when you moved to Berlin, did you kind of get to other gigs through that gig, through that contact, or how did you find sort of networking in the city and making your way here?
Actually, I was pretty lucky. So I mean, first I was like, okay, I was of course scared. Yeah, there were not so many people who tried it at that time, and a lot of people who studied in Würzburg said, "Okay, man, don't go to Berlin. It's too big. You don't want to make it." So I
Mm.
was really like, okay, yeah. So at the time, this was like in 2004, 2005. You already had websites and stuff. So I wrote like 30 or 40 random um, applications for music schools just for teaching. So, but I mean, this was really random because there was not like, we are looking for a drum teacher. It was just, okay, here's a music school. I'm coming to Berlin. If you have a job for me, just feel free to contact me. Something
Yeah.
like that. And when I came to Berlin, or the singer that I was on tour with, Mellow Mark, he worked on a regular basis in a studio in Berlin in Schlesische Straße, and they had like, I mean, this was a studio with edit rooms, no real recording rooms. It just had a vocal booth. But there was one room where some guy had like a studio cabin, and he was moving out of the studio. And this cabin, it was made out of steel and glass. It was really like a UFO, It was really strange. And the studio cabin was still there, and nobody could use the room because the cabin was taking all the place.
Mhm.
So I asked the guys if I can rehearse there, so
Mm.
or practice there, and they were as long as the cabin is in it, so you can have it. Just pay as much as you can. And I was smart enough to say, okay, I will pay as much as I can. Plus, if you need a drummer on any of your production, I will play anything you give me in advance for free. So I had this rehearsal room in the middle of Berlin in the studio, and there was lots of musicians came there, like Calce Candela. Uh, I got like in touch with another reggae singer, or doing remixes. I played like some songs for Laith Aldine or anything. I just was there. I was a drummer of the studio. I had got the chance to practice, and of
Wow.
course, it's
Mm.
gave me a lot of routine because we were recording a lot. I didn't know so much about recording, but yeah, the producer was also not so much into recording drums, so we just yeah, had a lab there for recording. And in
Amazing.
the end, I have in the first year, I think I played on more records than I played live.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's smart. That's a very smart move. Yeah. The accommodation, the rehearsal space for you to practice, but then also to
Yeah, it
say, hey,
was.
just take me as
Yeah,
the drummer. I'm here. Might as well play on recordings.
yeah. It was
So
just. It
yeah.
came to my mind. I mean, I just was like, I didn't really know where to start. Though this was a way, and I was lucky enough that the guys who ran the studio uh, were like, yeah, motivated to do it and help me.
Amazing, amazing. And then
Yeah.
so obviously, notably, you ended up playing for Kontra K.
This was
Yeah.
later actually.
Okay.
I was I formed my own band called the Rough Cats,
Right.
and we were like a backing band. So there was this Berlin Soul Club in Mitte, which is now the B flat.
Ah,
It was
okay.
called Bohannon, and it was Bohannon Berlin Soul Club, and they had us there like once a month. We just played um like a gig where, I mean, two ladies were like from all over the world came to Berlin, and they got a backing band, and we studied their songs, and we made an evening, just a program. So we got in
Nice.
touch with a lot of people from abroad, everywhere, and this was mainly soul, neo soul, R&B, hip hop. So I really got into that music. So I really loved it. I mean, hip hop really was at that time was the thing that I really wanted to check out, and it was the early days of Chris Dave. Was stuff that I really liked. So we played it with my band there in the soul club, and at the same time, I moved out of the studio because I got a pretty nice rehearsal room in Rummelsburg, in a building where there are lots of rehearsal rooms still. I saw a video of you playing the
Yeah,
drums, and I wonder if you are in the same building.
I was about to say I'm in
Yeah,
Rummelsburg as well. Yeah,
yeah.
it's probably the
Which
same building.
floor?
Um, I think it's the second or third floor.
Yeah, it's funny because it really looks the same. Like in our room, the fourth floor, I still have it, or I
Right.
just rented for to friends,
Yeah.
and I spent, of course, lots of time there. And at the same time, the producer of Kontra, who produced the first album, it was called Licht und Schatten, I think. I don't know. He moved in the studio where I was,
Ah,
and he needed a drummer on another recording, not for Contra K. So he contacted me through the studio. I went there, played the record or played the recording, and then he was like, "Hey, we got this upcoming rap artist named Contra K, and do you want to uh, yeah be the live drummer?" To be honest, I didn't know him at that time, so
yeah.
I had time and had capacity, so I watched that in the internet, or and was like, okay, so let's do it. And then I ended up being his MD for almost 10 years.
Epic. Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah,
Awesome.
thanks.
And and as a MD, maybe for like people who aren't, I guess people can imagine what a drummer's duties maybe are, but um, as maybe for people who can't quite picture what an MD's responsibilities are, what would you say is like the traits of an MD? What is an MD responsible for doing?
Yeah, there are different different approaches. So, and of course, to be honest, I got certain limits, so I could not write the maybe orchestra charts for a whole orchestra, but I think my qualities are uh, I have I think I'm pretty good in having a vision of uh, how you can like transform like a studio production on stage, or what how you can like I don't know the English word, wie man das umsetzt. How do you say that? Like how
Yeah,
you transform or
yeah.
how you arrange the music. And so for Kontra, he always had like ideas what maybe element he needed, but this was really like, I need some guy who is like this. And I was like, okay, I want to understand his idea in terms of what he wants on stage and what this means to the music, you know. And I was pretty good in like finding the right combination of people and and having a good workflow, I would say. So my main thing was, okay, of course I like selected the tracks. I mean, this is something that you have when you are MD in a pop production, always, that you decide, okay, which elements you have to have from Ableton and which elements we play live. And like my idea is always, or my concept is always, I always want the show to be like, if the computer drops out, you still need to be able to play the music. So, I mean, it's pretty unusual that the stuff drops out, but for example, I hate when the bass is coming from the backing track. I hate it. I just hate to play drums to a bass track. For me, the bass, there are certain elements who have dynamic and I want them to be live. So I was like, okay, the bass needs to be live, and I'm a little bit old school. So if uh, if I'm in the audience and I hear like a guitar and nobody's playing the guitar, I have the feeling, okay, somebody's cheating on me or somebody makes jokes on me, you know? So I'm a little bit like that. But so in the end, okay, you have to have tracks, effects, backing vocals, samples, stuff like that. And then I'm really like, okay, how can you play the music? What energy does it need and stuff like that. So yeah, and I always love to pick the sound guys, the monitor guys. I really want to have a very close environment and a lot of people that I trust to get the best result.
Nice, yeah. And have you ever had any like disaster gigs where like the computer dropped out and maybe there was some reliance on the computer and then it was like, oh wait, stuff kind of
Yeah,
just fell apart? Or
I mean, of course, this happened, but I think the audience never realized it.
okay.
So in terms of this, like technical fuck ups, let me think about it. No, not really. I mean, we had like reluctant systems where like you can, if one computer drops out, the next takes over.
Right.
But no, technically, everything was, knock on wood.
Yeah.
everything every time worked.
Yeah, I guess if obviously if the musicians are as high caliber as I guess all the musicians in your band would be, then you know I assume then you guys can just keep on locking in, and as long as the musicians are tight,
Yeah,
then even if the computer drops out, you can still keep people grooving, keep people dancing, and
yeah. I'm really happy that most of the time I play with really good musicians. And of course I'm a big fan of keeping stuff independent. So, you know, like, I mean, okay, right now I'm with Leony there. The computer has more duties, you know, when we were with Kontra in the very beginning, we didn't work so much with the computer is taking control of the effect pedals and stuff. I mean, you know, everything is possible. So you can have MIDI cues for your SPDX, blah, 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 the whole thing. And the programs are pretty advanced. But I mean, the more you give up your responsibilities to a computer, the more you get like, how do you say, abhängig,
reliant on
reliant.
the
So
computer, yeah.
this is something where I still think, okay, so if the computer drops out, the instruments still need to work, something like that. So yeah.
And so you mentioned Leony, so obviously you play for Leony now. Talk a bit about how you got into that gig. How did that come about?
Yeah, this was 2020 during Corona. So we had the last Contra tour that I was playing actually. It was fun to oh my god, we had was we played Rock am Ring, and Contra saw Slipknot with the two drummers on the cans, and he was like, I want to have this element, so I added my friend Max Grosswang, the percussion player, Austrian percussion player, amazing dude, and my friend Jan Stix Pfennig.
Oh yeah.
And we were 3 drummers on stage. He played all the electronic parts, so we just split up the backing tracks because sorry that I still talk about Contra, but this was so much
fun. By all
means. We had in the backing track, we always had like live drums, which obviously was my part, and then there was always a mixture between tribal percussion and trap elements, electronic elements. So when he said he wanted to add 2 percussionists, I took the chance, and we were like, okay, get rid of the backing track, and we play everything live. So we had a percussionist, a drummer who just played electronics, and so I was, in the end, we just had like some effects in the backing tracks and some vocals, and the rest was live. We had like 6 people on stage. That was really fun. That was really, really fun. Great. Yeah. And so we had a first tour in 2020, February, and in March it was like, okay, so here's Corona. It's finished. So we had all that work done, and we just played maybe 15 shows, and then there was a break for 2 years or something like that. Right. And then the management of Kontra, they worked for a DJ producer team named Vice, and they got a radio prize. They were like, okay, we are here, MDR, Sputnik, blah blah blah. They want to present some golden records and like have a interview, and you need to play live. But they are DJs, and they were like, okay, we can play our music from CD. They were like, no, we need to find a way how to play this music live. And they called me and was like, okay, is it possible to play dance music with instruments? And I was like, of course. I mean, I had nothing to do, so I was at home and was like, okay, let's think of a concept how we can play it. And I got like some guys from the Kontra band, and then we went there and played the music of Vice. And at that time, Vice always worked together with Leony. So when we had the showdown, the producer or the one guy from Vice, who is also a manager, said, okay, as soon as we come out with Leony, I need to have an MD and somebody who's giving us a concept how to play it live. So 1 year later, she dropped her first single, which was super successful. And then I got the call, and I started playing with Leony.
Amazing. And so maybe talk a bit about that gig. Like how's that been, playing that gig, going from like a hip hop Kontra like hip hop gig to like a pop gig?
It's a little bit more difficult because I mean, I'm not so much into dance music, to be honest. I mean, of course, I listen to some dance music or funky dance music or whatever, but for that we just like started from scratch, and it was a little bit the same situation like back in the day with Kontra, where you really have to decide, okay, how much is live, how much we need from the original production. And the very first version that we had was like, I was super inspired by this Netflix show, Justin Timberlake and the Tennessee Kids.
Yeah. Amazing.
I guess you know it, like where they have like crazy arrangements, of course. Very a great band. I mean, it's like Champions League style. And I was okay. I tried to get like, inspired. How can you like set up a big pop production? And so we did a little bit of rearranging. We add some elements, and we talk to the management and the artist, and see how original it's supposed to be, or where can we move away from the original production. And we started like try and error a little bit like that. So we didn't have so many gigs. It was just like the very beginning. And we listened back to some live recordings, and we got good feedback from the booking agents, who were like, okay, I think nobody expected that when you go to a Leony show that you get like this energetic band performance. But on the other hand, you have really to like see, okay, what voice does she have, or what energy does she bring? So you can't just play too rocky all the time, because she still is like she's not a shout, and she has a very not soft, but very special and very fragile voice sometimes. So you really need to see how much energy you can put into the music. So so we played for 2 years, and before we've been on tour in March this year, and before I listened back to the recordings, I really was like, okay, we should not play it like this. We should like go back one step. It's too much rock elements into it. We have to listen back to the original tracks and see how we can have like still energy, but a limited way, that it's still more like the original production. So
right.
so we're still looking for that a little bit. So, but I started using a little bit more electronic elements. I on the last tour I had like, for example, like a bigger setup, like 20, 22, 10, 12, 14, 16, and a higher pitched snare drum, and I played with a little bit more choppy, a little bit more modern. And when I listened to a live recording and had the feeling, oh wow, it's like many notes. It's like the frequencies are all very in the middle and in the highs. It's not really cool. It's like when I listen to it, it causes stress somehow, you know?
Okay.
So I was like, okay, we have to have another concept. It needs to be better balanced from the frequencies, and we need to give her more room. So I was like, okay, let's play a little bit less with a more controlled energy, and I play bigger shells now. I play like 24, 13, 16, 18, and I try to play less and more pocket. So in this helps because it gives lots of space for the vocals. So, and we went to, for example, our bass player, he played some parts, he played with a electric bass. And we found out that when we go back to the original version, it's a bass synth. And of course, it's not so much fun to play it, but in the end, it's less movement. It's the frequencies of the bass synths fit more into the mix. You know, it's like we had to decide in that direction. And right now, I'm much more happy with the show.
Okay, nice. And so what's like the lineup of the band? What are the instruments?
We had bass guitar, and our bass player, he plays a pretty complicated bass synth setup. Our bass player is Martin Stumpf, who's really, we call him the bass professor, because he has so deep knowledge of bass synthesizers and bass sound in general. He's really like, wow, he's crazy good. And We have Hilde Müller on the keys. Hilde is the younger sister of Moritz Müller and Lisa Müller. Do you know the Müllers? They are the like. Do you know Moritz Müller, the drummer Moritz Müller? Maybe. Okay. So check him out. It's like, for me, it's like one of the greatest rock drummers in Germany. So, and he has two sisters and they are both keyboardists. Like Lisa plays with No Angels, I guess, and lots of other people. And Hilde is our keyboarder. So she's playing keys, and Robse, the former guitar player of Kontra, or he's still the guitar player of Kontra, he plays guitar with Leony.
Okay.
Yes.
Nice.
So that's the setup, and we got 4 dancers. Yes, and Leo. And Leo is playing. She's a pretty good piano player, and she plays guitar. So we flip instruments from time to time. There's an acoustic set where I play guitar and sing a little backing vocals and stuff like that.
Nice, amazing. And so, how much input does, obviously, you guys as a band? You were talking about, you kind of arrange the live set. But how much input does Leony give? Like, how much does she say, I want it this way, or I want it to sound more like this? What would you say?
She has a pretty clear vision of what she wants to have, but it's more like a whole stage concept. She has an idea of what the stage and the show needs to look like and what kind of elements she wants to have. And we talk about that before the tour, before I start arranging the set. And sometimes, or my experience was that when I wanted to like explain what my idea is, it's sometimes a little bit abstract. Leony, when she started working with us, it was the first band actually that she was working with, because before she was just in the studio, and her live shows with the band were actually the first shows she ever played live with a band. Same with Kontra. Kontra was, when he was on stage, when we shared stages, I knew, okay, this is the first time that he ever plays with a band. Before, he played with like a DJ, maybe in some youth centers or stuff like that. But the first band shows with Kontra were actually his first real shows. Wow, same with Leony. So she needed to learn like the basics of how to perform live. Like, this is a monitor, this is FOH, this is like how you mic up a stage. So she got in touch, and right now we are like getting there, but in the very, or that we have a common language. But before, it was a lot of the times I had to explain stuff. And sometimes when I knew, okay, this is probably too abstract, I rehearsed arrangements with the band, and we're like, okay, so we got an idea, listen to it, maybe you like it. So we always had to, or I was really ambitious to have a good version of what it's supposed to be and to present it to her. And then she can decide if she likes it, because it wouldn't have made sense to explain what my idea was. So we always had to present it well.
Right. Okay. Nice. But in general, I guess she trusts you guys and your guys' expertise to arrange stuff, or is she, would you say she's quite like
I mean, now after 4 years, of course. So we have a very, very, very good relationship. It's very fun. It's like probably the gig where I really love going there the most, because it's always so harmonic. But in the beginning, of course, I mean, I was like, there are some arrangements where we really like lean ourselves out. There is like lots of action, kicks and stuff like that, but stuff that works live on stage. And I knew that people love that. I mean, if you go to the Leony show, there are a lot of kids, who have like no musical reels or live music socialization. You know what I mean? No background for that. They don't know like Justin Timberlake shows or stuff like that. But I mean, people dig the energy, and they are in the audience, and when they realize, okay, there's something going on that's different, I don't know it's not on the record, but it's great fun and everybody's laughing and it gets loud and there are lights and wow, and there's a guitar and stuff. Kids still love that, so we and yeah, some of the arrangements are really much different to the original version now.
Right. Yeah, it's honestly, it's amazing to go like see a pop production, or generally you know the record, you know the parts on the record, but then to actually see like it arranged by a live band. Like for instance, last year or was it last year or the year before, I went to see Silk Sonic in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And obviously their like live show arrangement, like no song was exactly like the record. They'd like expanded the songs and the arrangements and the added another extra little instrumental bridge here or a transition there, and like extra kicks and stabs and stuff on songs. And it was just like going to see a show where it's like where you can tell there's been so much love put in by the musicians. It's just there's just nothing like it. And yeah, as you say, it like creates such an energy and vibe that even if people can't pinpoint what it is, it just elevates the whole the musical experience.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, you always have to stay in touch with the artist and see if he really likes going there. I know, for example, Kontra was different because he always wanted to stick more to his original arrangements. So you didn't have that much freedom at the time. It was more, okay, you got more freedom within the original arrangement, but don't go too crazy,
Yeah.
And with Leony, she's okay. It depends, you can't just play all over the place because it's still her show and her vocals are the main thing. But you can find slot, and then it's just like go crazy. And that's fun. I love that. And I mean, everybody loves it. Some musicians come to the show and they are really like, hey, I didn't expect that, and I mean, as you said, I mean, it's a matter of taste, but I'm somebody who really loves when the live show is really different to the record or adds more colors,
Absolutely.
That's what I want to see.
Absolutely. Yeah. And as a kind of, we're coming towards the end of the podcast, but as a kind of last kind of piece of advice, what would you say for maybe like up and coming players that are looking to land bigger gigs in the future? Like what would your kind of biggest piece of advice be, or maybe two or three traits that somebody should have or require to get to like the bigger gigs from your experience?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm teaching in Hochschule in Osnabrück, so I got a lot of young cats, and stuff has changed a little because social media got so big, and the format is different. So you have to say that. So for me, it's I don't have anything against it, but I think you have to really like differ between me presenting my skills in a social media way or being on the road and playing music with other people. And they're both qualities, but if you want to work with a band, you need to get that skills as well, and sometimes it's not all about playing many notes, like, I mean, when you go on tour with a female singer and the music is really cool, you need to play that as well. You just can't go crazy all the time. And sometimes I have the feeling that the idea of how to play drums is really strongly influenced by lots of the clips you find all over the internet. So what I want to say is like really get an awareness of what is really required, like, so what your part of this whole thing is, so, and work on qualities that are really helpful. I mean, like sound wise, timing wise, dynamics. I mean, I th- dynamics is something that really um, nobody talks so much about in nowadays, or I have the feeling that dynamics is sometimes something that really gets lost a little, because so many people are working with Ableton and backing tracks and stems and stuff like that, which are not dynamic in a way. But as a drummer, you can add this quality, that you can like lower down when it comes to verse. You can give it more energy when it gets to the chorus. These are elements that are required when it comes to a show, for example. So really, like, just don't focus on chops. Get some more musical qualities to your skill set, like dynamics, good timing, good phrasing, good sound. Good sound is so difficult, not difficult, important,
Mm.
because to have a certain knowledge of what sound is required in which situation, like, as I said, like, my drum tuning changed the whole sound of the band so much before the last tour. It was such a big impact, and all of the other bandmates came and were like, hey, this was such a good decision to tune the drums low, because the frequencies are, the picture is clear now. So this is basic skills for me. If you want to go and be a professional musician, it's not just about having your techniques. You have to have knowledge about styles, about tuning and sound, phrasing. And yeah, in the end, it's all about like being there, being ambitious, not being a prick, like everybody, when the show is over, you want to have a good time. So, and this is super important, like being good in socializing. My experience is that you have to have commitment, like, you just when you say yes, so mean it, so be there. So, and if go and take the work. If you say yes and you mean maybe, it's never a good choice. So, because you want to rely on someone, when you ask and say, okay, can we do this, and you get a straight no, you can work with that. That's okay, like, I don't know how you feel about it, but if I ask somebody something and he says, I mean no, or no, this is cool for me, But if I ask somebody and he says yes, but he means maybe, and you always have to, hey, when is it going to happen, or how did you mean it, or what's your? So this is never a good choice, I think. So be clear, and yeah, and go for it. I mean, it's fun. I never regretted becoming a musician, and I know it's difficult, but still there is enough space for everybody. So, and yeah, and try to be like, bring something. It's not just having your homework done, but think about who you want to be and how you want to play, and how you what is your what is your idea of all this. It's just always good to represent something. That's my feeling.
Nice. Amazing piece of advice. Really very, very valuable and inspiring. Thank you very much
Thanks.
for that.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks.
And yeah, is there anything else you kind of want to plug? Anything you got coming up? Anything you want to shout out? Any projects of yours?
No, I mean, so my main project, beside this MD thing and besides teaching, is my own band, the Rough Cats. This is pretty. If you want to follow that up, that's pretty funny, because I mean, it's like my baby since 2000 and I don't know 7. It's my band, so it's basically funk and soul. But right now we have we started working with a Nigerian singer, and we started playing 70s Afrobeat, Fela Kuti style, where I really had to dig into the music of the drumming of Tony Allen, which is really, yeah, super inspiring. So if you have got the time, check out Ra and the Rough Cats. That's my new thing.
Amazing. Well, Uwe, thank you so much for taking the time. I really, really appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate that.
Thank
Good
you.
luck to you, man. I saw you
Thanks.
playing the drums. It's really nice. I
Ah.
really checked some of your videos and I was like, wow, this guy can play.
Oh man, coming from you, that's high praise. Thank you so much.
Give me money.